Welcome back to Beyond Mobility, where we highlight the people and programs helping move independence forward through safety, accessibility, and transportation. Today, we are joined by Gerhard from Bridge to Mobility, a nonprofit dedicated to helping individuals with disability access adaptive vehicles so they can return to the road with confidence and independence. Bridge to Mobility plays a vital role in removing barriers to transportation by pairing thoughtful vehicle modifications with community support and partnership. We're grateful to have Gerhard here with us to share more about their mission and the impact of the work that has a real impact on everyday lives. So thank you so much, Gerhard, for being here. Can you tell us a little bit about Bridge to Mobility and how the organization supports the disability community with getting back to driving and independence?
Sure. Before I get in that, I want to thank you guys for doing this podcast because I think, tools like this, or I guess I call it a tool, is so necessary to expand the network and create and have people realize the possibilities that are out there, of which we are one of the possibilities. So, Bridge to Mobility supports individuals by going ahead and providing what we call last dollar funding grants. So after they've raised all their money and they still can't get the vehicle, we are the resource to come to. But the other part is that we have a lot of partners that we work with that contribute also to this mission. We call them mission aligned partners. And on average, it's almost for every dollar we give, we have $4 from other sources that we've either brought in or that we work with to go ahead and make this a possibility. So we spend a lot of our time on, these relationships with mission aligned partners, sustainable funding partners, which AMF-Bruns was one of, the first organizations to come in and help us because they just said, hey, we're aligned with your mission. We have a lot of that. We work hard at that, but we provide a lot of benefit and it's so needed. 96% of people that have issues don't have access to a wheelchair accessible vehicle. It impacts high school graduation rates, 12% lower, any education behind high school, 50%. And then you get into the employment opportunities and, you're 150% more likely to live below the poverty line. And that is something that we can change.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
One vehicle at a time.
Absolutely. And now you mentioned some of the barriers and some of the ways that you guys help that out. And so what would you think, in your opinion, is one of the biggest barriers that you see for people getting the vehicles, and how do you guys help fill that gap?
Well, the biggest issue is affordability. You're looking at an average used vehicle somewhere between 30 and 50. A new one is north of 80. So affordability is a challenge. And, our grants help chip away at that affordability challenge. I think the other challenge is people not knowing the resources that can help them. And there are resources out there that can help them, related to specific challenges, followed by helping themselves through organizations like Help Hope Live, which are just huge. It's one of our biggest partners, Help Hope Live. They're helping a lot of people. And I think that's the challenge, affordability and understanding where you can get help.
So can you share a story or an example that really captures the impact that an adaptive vehicle can have on someone's life beyond just transportation?
I can probably do 300, because every one of the grants is unique. Mm-hmm. And that's about the number of grants that we have awarded since our inception 2 years ago. We have Adam. Adam had a small business. He had a job. And, a typical family situation is they have one vehicle. I mean, this is it. This is the vehicle. Well, unfortunately, he was involved in an accident, not his fault. and he had a lot of driving equipment, and what the insurance covered and the gap required was insufficient. So, he started a campaign to help raise money. He's also an entrepreneur. He has his own business, so he had to figure out, how do I get to my business every day and run my business? Well, we were able to work with, a dealer and get a vehicle. It was a hard thing. It took about 3 months, but we stuck with him, and he's now working again and running his business. We have Ansley. Ansley was a student that she wanted to go to college. She was a great high school student, but the college, they didn't have public transportation back and forth, and so she needed a vehicle. And we worked with a number of other charities to get Ansley a vehicle. And I think on our YouTube channel, we have Ansley's story. It's a phenomenal story. She's going back to school. She's going to college. We have that one. We have a active duty Marine who has a child with challenges, and they could no longer transport the child safely, pick them up, put them in the car seat, all that. They needed an accessible vehicle so he could go ahead and fulfill his duty to our country. We helped his wife, with a vehicle that he didn't have to worry about that. And then I have what I call my super mom story. There is a wonderful lady. She adopted 4 special needs children, and she needed a vehicle. We did a bunch of things to help her with other charities and hooked her up, and she got the vehicle. And so I just followed up with her, Lauren, how's it going? Tell us what's happening. And she goes, oh, this is just great. I'm providing respite for other families using the vehicle to transport the children. So she goes out and picks up the other children that have special needs and have physical challenges, and then takes them to her house so that the other family can take a little bit of a break. So that is a few of the 300 stories I could share.
That's amazing. Those stories are so beautiful.
What these vehicles do, they improve employment opportunities, educational opportunities, community and family engagement, medical outcomes, because people miss their appointments, and now they're able to make those appointments that are so critical. So it's just been a great ride. And as far as I know, we're the only charity out there that is focused on the accessible vehicle and all the safety equipment that goes with that, and the scope of what we cover. There's some that, like they'll help the veterans, or they'll help, a specific illness. Our scope is very broad, and we're focused on veterans, employment, education. And then the 4th bucket is everyone else, community engagement, family engagement, children, all that.
I love it. But you're right. These are all the different aspects that continue to push people to get out of the house, to keep them independent, to give them a well-rounded life and make them feel just like every other member of society, which is what we all deserve to feel like.
Yeah.
So for someone who's listening, who may need an adaptive vehicle, or who knows someone that might need an adaptive vehicle, what advice would you encourage them to take?
Well, a couple things. Safety is critical. So we work through a network of dealers called the National Mobility Equipment Dealers Association, and we work with them throughout the U.S. and Canada. It's about 300 some dealers. And the reason we work with them, their vehicles are compliant. They have to follow certain safety standards. They have to go ahead and get audited once a year to make sure that they're compliant with all these safety standards. And they sell compliant vehicles, those that meet the Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standards and the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration standards. So we think that's very important, and that's why we restrict to that network, but there's not a problem there. There's 300 of some of them. And I think you guys work with them also.
Yes.
And then, the way we work is we want to make sure the vehicle's safe. So we look at a Carfax, we look at pictures of the vehicle, and we want to make no one worse off. The worst thing is you have a vehicle and then you basically aren't able to maintain and insure it and all that. So that's what type of thing we focus on. We bring in our partners. Restraining someone is the most important aspect. Getting them in the vehicle safely and then restraining them is critical. So, all the dealers are required to provide restraints to make sure for securement. And that's why we do that. And then we have AMF-Bruns partnering with us that, if you receive a grant from us, you have the option of getting AMF-Bruns restraints in the vehicle through a donation from AMF-Bruns. And that's just huge. That has, moved the needle. That's not a pittance.
Well, that's what we want to do, is we want to support safety and independence. So we're glad to be a partner in helping support people get back on the road in a safe and secure manner.
Yeah.
So wrapping up
today, innovative products like I think you guys call it Future Safe, or that's what it was when I saw it. I think that's a very innovative product that someone traveling in a chair has the same protections that an able-bodied person would have in the vehicle through, neck and back security. So I love that product. I know that it's, a lot of people choose not to get that, but I think it's an important product. And, we would absolutely support that if it were to be installed in the vehicle.
Absolutely. That is, as a wheelchair user myself, I agree that having any kind of additional head, back, neck support is critical when it comes to vehicle safety. So I'm glad that you see the importance in that mission as well. Mm-hmm. So just to wrap up and everything, what motivates you to continue doing this work, and what gives you hope for the future of accessible transportation?
Well, there's going to be a lot of changes, I think, and I'm not going to play the expert on that, but you've got autonomous vehicles, but they still have to be accessible. And I was once told that about 0.5% of the entire U.S. population needs the products that we offer. So while the market is out there, it's not a huge market, and I think that it's sort of like the manufacturers, not necessarily in this industry, but the manufacturers overall spend less time to it because they look at the size of that market. So I think that'll be interesting in the future. I think doing what we do and getting the word out and expanding the network is critical for us. We just finished our second full year of operation, and we try to help 200 some individuals in 2025. There's still programs going on that some of them tail into 2026. Expanding our partnerships with people in the industry. And we get support from about 170 of the 300 dealers out there are supporting our mission. And, when we started, that number was 0. So we are gaining momentum, and that's critical. We call that sustainable funding in order for us to keep this program going. And we'd love to grow and expand the program and have greater impact.
I agree. I think that's amazing. Well, Gerhard, thank you so much for your meaningful work that you and the team over at Bridge to Mobility is doing to expand access, independence, and opportunities for individuals to get back on the road. Thank you so much to our listeners for tuning in to Beyond Mobility. Conversations like this just remind us that mobility is more than just getting from point A to point B. It's about freedom, it's about dignity, community connection. If you'd like to learn more about Bridge to Mobility, support their mission, or explore resources around accessible transportation, we definitely encourage you to get involved and continue the conversation. Until next time, stay safe, stay empowered, and keep moving forward.